Everybody, and welcome to another easy math video. Today's video marks the first in our series on location and movement in geometry. And specifically, we're going to be looking at how to plot points when given coordinates on a coordinate plane. Let's get into it. Now, before we learn how to plot points on the coordinate plane, we need to learn some basics. Okay, so if you look here on your screen, you'll see the image of a coordinate plane. That's this thing right here that sort of looks like a crosshair. If you've done some geometry in the past, you may have encountered this before. Basically, it is basically a plane made up of two lines, what we call two axes or axes, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, so we're going to look first at the x-axis. Then we're going to learn what the y-axis is, and then finally I'm going to teach you a point called the origin. Let's start with the x-axis. Okay, so the x-axis is this line right here that makes up, like I said, sort of like your crosshairs. It is the line that runs left to right. So if you look here, we have values listed all the way across this x-axis here, and you'll notice the further left you move, your values decrease. Okay, so much so that if we pass 0, we get into the negatives, and if we were to go back towards the right, you'll notice the more right you move, the more your values increase, and if you pass 0, you get back into the positives. Okay, now when you are given, this is important here, when you are given a coordinate, you're going to be given two values. Okay, and the first value is always going to be your x value. Okay, and it goes first. I'll touch more upon this in a second, and it'll make a lot more sense. We're going to now move on and look at what the y-axis is. So if the x-axis moves left to right, then obviously we have another line here going up and down, and that is in fact your y-axis. Okay, so the y-axis is the one that runs up and down. Moving down on the y-axis, you'll notice your values decrease. Okay, and that once we get past that x-axis, once we cross over it, you'll notice that the values become negative. And if we were to move back up, you'll notice that your values increase. And once you pass the x-axis here, you see that they intersect. Your values are once again positive. Okay, when given coordinates, when you're given coordinates, like I said, the x value always goes first. You're given two numbers, and the y value is the second number. Okay, so I've given you two examples here. So first example is 4 and -2. So 4 would be your x value, -2 would be your y value. And in this example here, we have -5 and -2. -5 will be your x-axis or your x value, and -2 will be your y value. Okay, so now that you understand what the x and the y-axis is, I'm going to explain what the origin is. This is really simple. Like I said, you'll notice that the x and the y values, they cross over each other, they intersect. The point where they intersect with each other is called the origin. Its coordinates are 0 and 0. You'll see here, right, dead in the center of sort of like our crosshairs or our coordinate plane, you'll notice that there is a 0 value listed there. Okay, because it's dead in the center, we haven't moved up or down on our y-axis, and we haven't moved left or right on our x-axis. Okay, now let's look specifically at plotting, like the steps that we have to take to plot points on a coordinate plane. Okay, so like I said, you guys just learned what the origin is. We are always going to start at the origin. Okay, so if you're using a pencil or whatever, you're always going to put that, a lot of people I know, they like to sort of use a pointer or a pencil or their finger and move along the axes in order to find the spot that they need to mark. So whenever you do that, you're always going to start dead at the center at 0. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the x value of the given coordinate. So for example, if I gave you, like in the last slide, there was, I believe it was, let's go back and take a look. So we had 4 and -2. So 4, once again, was our x value because it's the first number. Okay, so that just means I'm going to go to number 4 on our x. Okay, remember, positive numbers are to the right, negative numbers are to the left on the x-axis. 4 is a positive number, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our x-axis. And then the y-coordinate was -2. Okay, we know that moving down gives us negative numbers on the y, so I'm going to have to move down 2 spots. 1, 2. And that's where we would plot that point. Okay, hope that sort of makes sense. Let's go ahead and give it a try. I'm actually going to, so I have a few points that we are going to plot together on the coordinate plane that you see here. Okay, and you'll notice often when you plot points, you give them a letter value. Okay, so here are the coordinates, and when we plot that point, we are going to, you'll see here the letter A is beside it. That means it's called point A. We are going to label that point A. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first coordinates that we get for the first point is 4 and 3. Remember, the first values are x. X is the axis that runs left to right, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our x. And then our y value is 3. Okay, that's a positive number, so we're going to move up 1, 2, and 3. Here is our point, which I've just plotted. I'm going to label it A. Okay, hope you can see that. Sorry if my writing on the screen is not the greatest. There it is. Okay, our next point now is point B, which has coordinates -4 as its x value and +1 as its y value. So once again, first step, start at the origin, which is 0, 0. Okay, dead in the center. Okay, our x value is -4, so I'm going to move to the left this time because negatives on the x are to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I stop there. Now I go back. I look at the y value for this number. It's 1. So I'm going to move 1 up because moving up are positive on the y. There's our point. I'm going to label it B. Okay, there's our B value. Once again, sorry for my drawings. Okay, and then lastly, we have this point, which is point C. Okay, I'm going to start with my x value, which is 0. A lot of people get confused when they're learning this. Well, what does 0 mean? If you have a 0 point, it means you do nothing. Okay, so I start at the origin. I'm just going to stay there on the x. Now, next, I am going to go to -4 on the y. Okay, so that means I'm going to stay at 0 on the x. I'm just going to move down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime you have a 0 value, that means you're going to be right on the line on one of your axes. Okay, so there is point C. Now I should also add, whoops. I should also add, sorry about that, that was a little mistake there, that I should also add that if these were reversed, if -4 was your x value, I would have moved over to -4, and then if 0 was my y value, I would have just stayed there. Okay, and that's where my point would have been. So, like I said, if you have a 0, that means that one of your points is just going to remain on an axis. Okay, sometimes it might tell you to plot right in the origin. You just put a dot on it. Okay, now, one other thing that I'm going to say often, we don't just deal with points when we are dealing with plotting things on the coordinate plane. Yes, we use points to plot. Well, so basically what I mean is, Sometimes we're not just dealing with specific points, but we're dealing with shapes. Okay, it works the same way basically. So if I connect all my points here, sorry, once again, I should be using um, a tool to make these lines completely straight, but just pressed for a little time. I'm going to do it quickly. Okay, so you see here that we sort of have a triangle shape here. Okay, and the way we make up these shapes is by plotting the vertices, the points. Okay, so I hope this video made sense to you. Okay, let's just retrace once again. Always start at the origin, move with the x value first, which is left or right, depending on whether it's negative or positive. Stop when you get to your x value, then go back, look at your y value for the coordinate, and then move up or down from where you stopped on the x. Once you get to your y value, okay, positives are up, negatives are down, you plot your point. Put a dot, label the point, and you're done. You've plotted your point on the coordinate plane. I hope that makes sense for you guys. Please go ahead and give it a try. And as always, please like and subscribe our videos if they're helpful to you. And feel free to ask questions in the comments or leave any commentary or feedback in the comments as well. All right, guys, give it a shot. Thanks.